Hi everyone, I am Florian, the founder of the Method Research. We are a market research company with a mission to get better insights faster and anywhere in the world. We leverage social media and digital environments to find the right respondents and ask them the right questions in order to get the right insights. From our headquarter office in Hong Kong, we work closely with more than 100 agencies and direct clients all over Asia. Our most prestigious clients include brands such as Pepsi, Heineken, and the United Nations, but also, of course, many more. In addition to our clients' projects, we often conduct independent market research projects to cover topics that we're just curious about. Sometimes it may be about the air pollution perception or many other industry topics. So this year, we actually wanted to also discover something about the tech scene in Cambodia because we thought it could be quite interesting, and we focused our attention on gaming and esports. So our objective was to survey at least 500 individuals with interest in esports and e-gaming, and to discover more about their perception about the sports, their consumption habits, both as a viewer and a player, but also how the industry could potentially grow in the future. So before we get into more details, let me share with you a quick video with our main key takeaways. I hope you liked our quick summary video. This is one of the many and various interactive and user-friendly formats that we deliver whenever we work on market research projects. So as you can see, we try to be as clear as possible for anyone to understand. Even though you don't have a lot of time to analyze all the results, you can actually, understand the main takeaways just by watching that very quick video. That's why we actually do it for every project we do. So now let's study together the details of the report on our digital report. Okay, let me open it. Okay, so here is the full digital report. You can access it as well on our website, so the link will appear somewhere on the video, or you will be able to access it on themethodresearch.com, and you should go to the page Insight Lab on the top of the menu, on top menu bar. So you can see on that page that we actually give access to a lot of free reports that are free to access and discussing many different topics in many different locations. You can find, of course, this one on the esports industry in Cambodia, but you can also find the other ones such as the automotive in Hong Kong or the luxury in Dubai. That will give you a lot of different perspectives. So let's start with this report. So now let's go. As you can see here, we start by summing up the key themes that we will try to observe. So as you can see, we have three main parts. We have the Zoom on Cambodia, survey results, and methodology. Zoom on Cambodia is the section where we cover macro information and background data, basically, trying to give a more context to the project before getting started. Survey results is the section where we give access to each question and answers, as well as our analysis. And finally, methodology is the final section at the very bottom of the research, where you can see which who were our respondents, how we found them, how it was conducted, how long it took, etc., etc. So first, let's remind you that this survey was conducted in February earlier this year, so February 2021, when the country was not having local lockdowns, but only international lockdown. So this is quite important to notice because sometimes, the international context or the local context can have a very big influence on the results of the surveys. So here, we don't think, after observing the results, that these external factors really impacted the results of the research. So now let's also study the methodology. So let's go down to the very bottom of the page together. Okay, let's scroll. Okay, so here we're trying to understand who was surveyed and how. As you can see, we gathered 506 respondents living in Cambodia in total, and 91% of them were living in Phnom Penh, the capital city, and all of them had to have interest or knowledge in esports and video games to answer our questions, which means that everyone else that actually mentioned that they don't have interest in this will not be surveyed in this research. So our goal here was not to understand how many people were interested in esports, but to study in particular the people who actually are. So we can also see that almost half, so 48.6% of the respondents were aged between 18 years old and 24 years old, and 34% were above 13 years old and below 18 years old, and the rest of them were above 25. As discussed earlier, we gathered our respondents via Facebook, Google advertising platforms on a period of 1 week. If you remember well, because that's at the very top of the page, we can see February 2021, 1 week. That's the duration of the survey, and as you can see, it's quite quick. Overall, it took the respondents an average of 2 minutes to complete the survey, as you can see here on that section. And now that we've covered all of that and that we understand better who we actually surveyed, let's go back to the results, so the survey results section. Here in the survey results, we divided our questions around 3 topics. So you can see gaming behavior and platforms, then consumption of gaming content, and finally perception of esports. So those 3 themes are very different. So we try to organize the questions that way so we can understand, several topics on the Cambodian scene. First, then the gaming behavior and platforms. In this first section, among other things, we learned that in terms of gaming platforms, the most commonly used platforms among gamers are the computer, by far, and the mobile phone. Very far from the other platforms such as PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo. So we also learned that most players do play multiplayer games and have a higher preference for them as opposed to other types of gameplays, such as individual game or co-op campaigns. We also noticed that gamers and individuals interested in gaming were spending a lot of playing time per week, with more than 55% playing 10 hours a week or more, which is a high average compared to other countries worldwide. We also learned that even though a big part of users do not purchase games or in-game content every month, almost 70% declare spending some money to purchase video games, and almost 60% declare spending money in-game every month, which is the biggest part is between $1 and $20 per month. All these elements are very insightful. I mean, to us, it's super insightful because we can see so many different information about the average consumption, about the average time spent on the platforms, and it gives us, I would say, a very encouraging point of view on the Cambodian esports environment. So now let's head to the consumption of gaming content part. So in that part of the research, we learned also very interesting stuff. First, we all know that in developing markets in Southeast Asia, Facebook and Google platforms are huge and they're everywhere. And they're very close to having a full monopoly on digital platforms, right? However, when it comes to watching gaming content online, we were super impressed to see that Twitch, which is very popular among gamers and people watching videos of games, was almost getting 20% of the users in terms of video content platforms. Even though YouTube, of course, is still the main leader with 60% and Facebook is a bit over 20%, that's still quite good. It's even big compared to what we were expecting. We also learned that the respondents prefer watching competition gameplay over any other type of gaming video. and that's when they do watch gaming videos, they prefer watching them live for 87.1%. So that's a lot of information, right? We understand a lot of different things. The platforms, like that people are using, the type of games they like watching, how, and in what circumstances. In addition to all this very good data, we also noticed that respondents watch gaming content several times a week. So not only on weekends or in the evening, but like every single day, basically, they keep watching, and it shows that they're very active, right? And their main motivations to watch those are mainly, as you can see here, skill improvement for 45% and general entertainment around 40%. And last but not least, their favorite type of games when it comes to watching, so I'm not talking about playing, but watching, are first-person shooters, FPS, and multiplayer online battle arena, or MOBA, such as League of Legends and Dota 2. Finally, in the section about the perception of esports, so let's scroll a bit more. Okay, finally, in that section, we wanted to understand a bit more how the industry was perceived in Cambodia, and since how long it was like this. So we actually discovered that the gamers and people interested in gaming were interested in that scene for a few years already, which is quite, I mean, it shows that it's not just a simple trend that just came out of nowhere. It's been deeply rooted. But also that individuals, when we were asking them if they consider esports and gaming as a real sports, they were putting it on the same level as football or volleyball. So that's really encouraging. We don't have the same results in more, I would say, traditional markets or Western markets. This is not the same. So this is very encouraging, and it shows that the esports scene is more than just a simple trend. We can also back this fact that with something else. It's that individuals have a strong feeling that this market will keep growing in Cambodia in the coming years. And also we wanted to understand in terms of events, because events now, especially with post-COVID societies, will actually have to be different, and will have to cover different ways as they used to before, right? So we try to understand about esports events, and we try to ask individuals, again, who are interested in gaming and in esports, if they ever attended esports events in Cambodia. And it was very surprising because we expected differently, but almost 60%, which is a lot of people, did not attend any event. But when we asked them if they would attend, were they ready to actually go to an event if it existed and if they had a chance to, almost all of them, 95%, actually said they would. So this, to us, like as consultants, as market research company, seems to be a very clear opportunity for brands to advertise themselves towards this young and growing community by organizing events, by organizing activities around esports, because apparently a lot of people would attend. Right? So it's actually quite interesting and very moving. And that's it. I mean, now we've been reviewing the full eSport report that we actually conducted earlier this year. As you can see, within a few minutes, and by asking the right questions to the right individuals, we managed to uncover very interesting information about key markets and key markets indicators. So not only these insights help us draw a landscape on the current situation, but it also helps us and all of us anticipate and predict the future trends and evolutions of that scene in Cambodia. So guys, for more reports, feel free to visit our website on the Insight Lab page, which is right here. Yes, you can see it now, where we gather all the reports which I discussed before, and feel free to subscribe by submitting your email so you will not miss any new report in your country. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.